Hey guys, welcome back to the Golf Podcast. This is episode 401, and for 400 of those episodes, I've had this guy here with me, Mike.
I missed one.
You did miss one.
Do you know which one?
I don't know, but I'll tell you what, we'll put it to our listeners. Go and hunt it out.
I do
and find
remember.
out. I'm sure there's somebody out there who remembers the one episode I did by myself. What were you, on vacation?
It
or
was
something?
a vacation. If I had to guess, I'd go back 5 years, guys. If you're going to go look, I would say 5 years.
So 2 years into the podcast.
2016 podcast. Yeah.
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 Okay.
Now I want to go listen.
Hey, good luck on your Easter egg hunt.
Yeah, seriously.
Today, though, we're going to talk in a little while. We're going to dive into our instruction segment. We're going to talk about, how to kind of adjust your approach for different sand types, because at the end of the day, we're not playing on the PGA Tour. We're not getting those tour conditions on every round, that nice, fluffy, very, consistent sand. The reality is we play all different types of golf courses at, different levels of upkeep, right, basically. And even just the stuff that's often out of control of the courses themselves, and that could be weather. But I mean, we've all faced a situation where you have that really hard sand after a long night of rain.
Yes,
you know what I mean.
That's one of the hardest shots to stand over in golf, because you have no idea how it's going to come out. Right, you're standing over this concrete bunker shot, and you're just like, all right, do I just hit it like I'm hitting off concrete? Do I go into it? So,
well, I think the key is just knowing, and it's like with we talk about here on the podcast a lot, like the different lies. It's just knowing it and assessing it. Like once it's that, I mean, you can make a good shot. You have to have a consistent type of lie, and if you find that it's consistently harder sand, you just adjust your approach to it. I mean, Personally, as long as I don't have something like I'm thinking back, in Vermont, where we had that one day with the wet sand, and I had like the sand caked onto the ball.
Yes.
As long as you don't have a situation like that, I feel like I don't hate, a hard sand. I just have to adjust it, and we'll talk about how. It's just
how to adjust
a little bit cleaner.
And soft sand, I mean, that could be tough too. You stand over these soft, fluffy sand you're not used to. You can go right under the ball, not even get it out.
As long as you adjust your approach to it, to whatever you're seeing from the lie. And this is something that, if you've been listening to the show regularly, it sounds like kind of a little bit consistent here. We've been talking about this, even talking about recently chip shots and things like that, adjusting your approach to the lie itself. And this is something that the best golfers do really well, and new golfers forget to do. And that's why we want to kind of hammer it home, because us as amateurs ourselves, like, we struggle with it. But how many times, and we're all guilty of this, that like you try to play the same shot kind of no matter what you get from the lie. For in this example, you try to play maybe a splash bunker shot in a hard packed sand, it's going to be a disaster.
Yes.
Similar to some of the chip shots we said, if you're in that deep rough, you can't necessarily put the type of spin that you want on it. So rather than kind of like just like a bull in a china shop, just trying to push your way through and just hit the same shot no matter what, we're going to talk about how you kind of can adjust to that, and we'll dive into that more in a minute. But we've got a couple things we want to first go into, some big show news. One thing you guys may have noticed, if you may, I don't know if you're listening to the show or if you watch it on YouTube, but one big change is that we've moved the show, the video format of the show, off to a brand new YouTube channel.
That's right.
So if you're having trouble finding us, I know some of you listen to the show and also like to watch it. If you're having trouble finding us, the reason is the Golficity channel itself on YouTube. We want to make that a little bit more well organized, because we've got so much great new content that we're going to be doing, especially it's kind of as we move into next year.
Yeah.
We want to organize things a little bit.
We do. I love it, but it is hard to find because it's a new channel. So what's the easiest way we can get there?
So the easiest way, you can just search YouTube. You can search the Golf Podcast presented by Golficity. You should see the new channel. I'll also make sure we link to it in the show notes. So if you're, the one thing that remains 100% consistent is you can always see the show on golficity.com and in the Golficity app.
That's right.
That's not changed. It's also on Facebook. Like I said, the only movement here was we kind of built out a brand new channel, because we also want to do a lot more with the podcast in the next year. So a lot more things like shorter form clips and really trying to build out the video side of it. It's something that, in fact, we wanted to do more of last year. And that's when we put this studio together for this reason. And then as soon as we moved into this space, COVID hit.
That's right.
Our real grand design was to start to get a lot more in-person interviews here. So this is going to be all part of that flow. So it may be a little bit of a pain, a little bit confusing at first. If you're used to watching us on the Golficity YouTube channel, just know we've got a kind of a new home for it on YouTube, but it's all part of some bigger and better things that we've got coming.
And I'm excited part of that, I guess, retooling of the show. It's going to be, if you liked Coffee and Golf, if you like Twig, if you love the pod, I mean, we're just going to try to mix it all into one and just create a fun, little bit longer, but fun show.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And we're going to try to lengthen, as you said. So you're just getting bonus golf podcast at this point. Bonus golf podcast. Yeah, we've got a lot of exciting things coming, but like for now, like I said, just head on over to the new YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe over there so you don't miss anything. And plus, we're going to have a lot of kind of exclusive stuff over there that we don't have in other places, like these clips and these short form stuff that we're going to be putting out over there. So it's going to be another spot. Means more work for us, but it's going to be in a good way.
In a good way.
That's for sure.
Yep.
What else do we got, Mike?
So one big thing is if you haven't joined us already in the Golficity Clubhouse on Leveler, this is our new community that we just launched about a month ago. Just an opportunity to kind of bring us all together in this Telegram, this WhatsApp style format messaging. It's pretty cool because you and I have the ability to hop in there. We're doing a Q&A today, for example, and it could be a live Q&A where you're in there live asking the questions. We're all talking. It's just like one massive live FaceTime. It's got game improvement. What else do we do in there? PGA Tour chat, equipment news.
Yep.
So it's a cool community. It's a free trial for 2 weeks, and then it's $5.99, and $6 a month.
I think my favorite part about it is that money, that subscription that you pay, goes directly back into helping us create content.
Right.
That is what we're going to be using as a help and a support for some of these things we're talking about we want to do in 2022.
Yeah, 100%.
It costs money, to obviously build these things out, do things bigger.
Fancy new microphones today, Frank.
That's right. Yep, exactly. So, this is all part of the grand plan. We've got a lot of stuff in the works. We're going to be doing a whole new thing. But you're right. I think one thing that we're going to try to do on a regular basis, maybe once a week, is going to be a new live Q&A segment with us in the group. So the only way to get a part of that is to be in the Clubhouse. Like I said, we wanted to give some... Not only is it fun for us to get a chance to talk to you guys in a live format, but also we want to have a way that we can kind of give back for the people who do a little bit extra and they join the private Clubhouse.
Yes, and that little extra being content input. I mean, we struggle with, what cover image is better, or what should we talk about on the pod this week, or where should we film and what formats, and you guys are helping us in that community.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So we're excited about all this stuff. Like I said, we're just going to kind of bring it to you piece by piece as we go here. So stay tuned for a lot more coming, but it's going to be exciting. It's going to be a little bit of a mix-up here, a little shake-up, but it's going to be in a good way.
It is going to be in a good way.
For sure.
Yeah, 100%. And speaking of community, I wanted to just give a shout because our resident Golficity Golf Podcast Dr. Will out in California shot an email over talking. He saw the Vermont series. He went to college in Vermont. He said he wasn't in golf then. I wanted to give him a shout out here. He wasn't into golf then, but now he says I'm more motivated than ever for reunions. And we appreciate that. And we appreciate all you out there who are enjoying the Vermont series. We had so much fun putting that together.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing a ton of fall series like this, not just those summer and spring series like we did in Pinehurst, Scotland, but the fall, man.
Yeah.
Great golf in the fall.
It's a great time.
Favorite time to play here. So play golf.
It definitely is. And yeah, Dr. Will, he's an amazing person. He's helped me so much through things. I mean, I can't even tell you on the side on a personal note. Ever since, midsummer, I've been struggling with some stomach issues, and he's been great to hop on a quick FaceTime with me, help me through things.
That's cool.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. And if anyone is going to know which episode it was just me, it's going to be him.
It's going to be Dr.
Because
Will.
he's also been listening since episode 1.
You're absolutely right. You're right. He would be the one to know.
He's going to be the one to know. But speaking of Vermont too, Mike, I want to highlight this because the series has been going incredibly well as far as well received. And we appreciate everyone who's offered their feedback in the comments. And if you haven't checked it out yet, check it out. 3 video series as well as a bonus video with a massive giveaway, giving away a lot of great FootJoy gear. And FootJoy, we always appreciate because they were the main sponsor of the series. They're the ones who help us to have the resources we need to do these series. Not only that, just have us looking great too, because I absolutely love some of the stuff that they've been coming out with. But I think one thing I want to do more of, and if I'm picking up a vibe from the comments, it's to do more of like kind of discovering this type of golf that isn't talked about enough. And we chatted about it a lot while we were there because it was the feeling that we got was like, why haven't we played golf in Vermont more? Or why don't we hear more about Vermont golf? And I think that we're starting to see a lot of that in the comments where people are like, it's so underrated. You know,
Yeah,
my buddies
right.
and I have been going there for years or whatever it may be. And it's great. Like I said before, we talk about places like Pinehurst and some of the meccas of golf. But there's so many. I would love to just do a more of a video series, or just uncovering some hidden gems.
I love that idea. We should totally do
stuff that just doesn't get enough attention.
I mean, Ohio. There's one.
Yeah,
you know what
Ohio's
I mean?
a place for golf.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
there's places for golf that are underrated, and you and I need to explore and definitely get to. Maine has been on my list for a long time.
Maine. I know there's a lot of great spots in PA, and on our comments often on the videos. I love when people say things like, "You guys got to check this place out." And it's a place I've never heard of before.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why we love the game of golf. It's because you feel like you're always turning those stones over and finding something new.
Yeah.
You didn't
100%.
even realize this was so close. I didn't realize this golf course in my backyard. We recently
You realize you can get Heady Topper in Vermont.
That almost knocked me off my chair. I was so surprised. But you know what? Another one I think about, you're editing right now. You're putting together the West Point video.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another one. Public golf course. It's within reach here. It's like 20 minutes from us. And I think
if you're a history buff, forget it.
Yeah.
Those signs on every tee, on every hole.
Yeah.
Come on.
Every hole has something about a major conflict and what happened there. And it's just, but also the dramatic elevation changes, the place is in great condition. They're building out, I think it was something like a $12 million clubhouse.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's a public course that, we don't even think about enough.
We don't.
So I think we're going to be doing more of that. Try to bring some hidden gems. And we love your guys' feedback, because this is how we find and discover these things. If there's a course that you play that you really like that we need to give a look to, let us know. Put them in the comments. Put them in our new Clubhouse community. Give us that feedback, because we're going to be hunting for that type of stuff. I want to find some new stuff, new golf courses people don't know about.
And speaking of hidden, did you see that Airbnb in Vermont?
How cool is that thing?
Like, where was we didn't see that. We missed that one.
Yeah.
That was my fault.
Assistant to the traveling secretary over here. Yeah.
575 acre Airbnb.
Yeah. And
I believe
was an 18 hole golf course?
Zach, 18 holes? Full 18 holes. Did you know the price by any chance?
I think someone said 5,000 a night. I think 3 to 5 a night. 2,600 is not so bad.
But think about it, you can house a bunch of people.
That's what I would say. I would get, if it's 2,600 a night, I mean, it was a fairly big house. I would get 10 guys.
Yeah.
Right now, each guy is $260.
Right.
Right.
You don't need many days, nights there.
Right. I'm talking about 2 nights.
Yeah.
Right. You play the golf course.
4
you can play
times.
36 a day.
Yeah. 4 times. Do all different types of formats.
I'll tell you what. I think
Ryder Cup.
You were probably thinking the same thing now, aren't we?
Yep.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
We got to get there, and we got to do a Golficity. It's your own course. It's closed. We got to do like a tournament.
Did we just come up with something right here?
I think
did we just become best friends?
You want to go do karate in the garage? Yeah.
All right, we're on to something.
All right. Well, listen.
Sausage was made right on the show.
It's happening. All right, let's do a quick ad break, and then I want to dive into this week's instructional segment, talking about the sand and talking about how to adjust your technique. So let's do that now.
All right, we're excited to share with you guys exclusive opportunities from Titleist, but to be part of them, that you have to join Team Titleist. It's like today's show is like a community clubhouse theme. So Team Titleist gives you access to opportunities like prototype testing, special events, limited edition gear, like some of those TT hats and stuff you see us wear, and a ton of other things that they'll just send you and surprise you. That's what I love about being a part of Team Titleist. You could sign up. It's completely free to join us on Team Titleist at Titleist.com/Team Titleist. That's one word, Titleist.com/Team Titleist.
All right, guys, and speaking of FootJoy earlier, FootJoy is the #1 shoe in golf. It offers more types of shoes for more players than anyone else. And now you can get matched with the #1 shoe for your game on FootJoy.com with the new FootJoy Shoe Finder. I've tried this thing out. It's incredible. You answer a few short questions, and you can find the shoe that fits your playing style and your preference. In fact, we're going to be talking more in a minute about different course conditions and things like that. Well, wherever you are geographically, you're going to be facing different types of courses. courses and the different types of layouts familiar to that region. In fact, we got fit recently with the wedges, and that was one of the big part of the questions. Well, where do you play golf? What are the regular conditions you're facing? Well, very similarly, your shoes, they're part of your equipment. And if you can match that to the style of golf you play, you're going to play better golf. It's that simple. So whether you walk or ride, whether you prefer cleated or spikeless, if you need narrow, wide, extra wide, whatever it is, FootJoy offers the most styles for the most players and can match you with the golf shoe that's right for you. So try the new Shoe Finder. Find the shoe that's right for you. FootJoy Shoe Finder. Visit footjoy.com/shoe finder. Give it a look and let us know what you end up getting matched up with. Love to hear about that in the comments. So definitely check them out. All right, back to our instruction segment. All right, so we tipped this off a little bit at the start of the show, and we talked about the reality is, we play different types of courses. We're going to see different types of conditions. Even if all were equal and we were playing on the PGA Tour under great conditions, all the time, there's still weather that comes into play.
Sure.
It can start raining when you're out there. They don't have maintenance run out there and fluff up all the bunkers for you.
Right. Even if you belong to a country club, the most beautiful conditions will get ruined at some point.
It can happen at times where the sand is, we play golf outdoors. We are subject to the elements. So the sand, like any other lie that's out there, is going to change. So I think we become more and more adept at thinking about it like in the rough. We know if it's morning and it's really dewy or it's been raining or whatever, we know the rough's going to be even heavier as it's waterlogged, right? But then sometimes we don't think of that. I don't know why this is, but you're just in a greenside bunker and you just start to think your stock greenside bunker shot. And it might not work if the sand conditions have changed. So you need to be aware of it. That's the first and foremost thing, is just being aware of it. And then the really kind of like the best case scenario would be, and I don't find a lot of courses have this, but a best case scenario would be in the warm-up practice area if they had a bunker. Yeah. So you can kind of, just like how you roll a few putts, to get a feel for out the conditions of the day, being able to go and hit a couple sand shots before you go out. I mean, that's the best.
What percentage of people do that? What do you think?
I'm saying what percentage of courses have that ability?
Spook Rock has one, for example, but I never see anyone do it. I don't know why. Yeah. Like, no one's ever in it. It's just everyone's on the range, everyone's on the putting green, then they run out.
Well, that's possibly part of the reason why we have a problem with it.
There you go.
But I'll tell you, I can't remember, other than Spook Rock, I can't remember the last golf course we were at where there was
Orchard Hills has
bunker.
One. This is where my Rain Man brain goes into. There are a few, but you're right. It's pretty rare.
The last one we played, I'm always used to seeing some sort of range and a practice putting green. Maybe you get a short game area. Maybe you get a separate green for chipping. Rare, if ever, that I see a bunker there that you can practice and warm up in. But that's where, again, there's certain things you can't prepare too much for. You've got to just be out there and kind of adjust your conditions. But there's a few things that obviously are going to go into factors of this. One would be the course conditions in general. Let's get real, Mike. There are some courses out there, they just don't have the maintenance budget.
That's right. Yeah, they don't. They're run by the town.
Whatever.
Like
Municipal courses. The good side of it for us is that we get a cheaper tee time.
Yeah, that's right. You pay for what you get.
But you pay for what you get. And you have to be real. Like, if you're paying $30, $20 for a tee time, you can't expect that they've got a 12-man maintenance crew out there raking all the bunkers every morning.
Right.
You just can't.
Yep.
And you're going to be faced with some of those conditions. Now, there's the other side of that coin. I know, and rightfully so. Some guys are upset when they pay big money for a tee time, $200, and you get out there and the bunkers are not in the condition you want. Then you'll start to hear about it on all the review sites.
You definitely will. Yeah. Right.
But they don't often get away with that for long, especially nowadays when we do have the internet, and the word will quickly get around if a course is not being taken care of.
Yeah, that's the first thing. You'll go back and rate, like you said, especially if, like a course like Ballyon's $130 to play it, but they always keep it in great shape.
Right.
I would be angry if I paid that.
You'd be mad if it wasn't in the condition that you expect it to be in. So there's things that can happen, but there's that other side of it, or it's not, like I said earlier, it's not the course's fault. It could just be weather conditions. They could have gotten a ton of rain the night before, and some of the best courses have bunkers designed for fast drainage, and we're seeing a lot of courses now go through renovations like that. In fact, we've played a number of them this year. I remember Forest Hills.
That's right.
I know Baltusrol. I mean, you were talking about like really marquee, expensive private clubs here. But
Manhattan Woods had beautiful bunkering.
Same thing. What they'll do is when they do eventually redo the bunkers, one big part of that is making sure the drainage is there so you get a more consistent bunker.
Right.
But that costs a lot of money and a lot of time. So it's not always something you see. But weather conditions can happen. You get a hard rain, and what happens is that sand just kind of really gets kind of packed down, and that's where you get faced with a little bit of a different lie condition.
Yeah, and that's where it all goes out the window for me, man.
So you're saying you're better in a bunker with a fluffier sand or the harder sand?
Fluffy. Yeah, because I feel like it's just, for me, it's take your nice, clean strike and throw that fluffy sand up onto the green.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm in a hard sand, I know it's hard, and to me, I instantly go into, okay, I'm hitting a ball off the cart path.
Yeah.
So I have to hit it like I'm going to hit it off the cart path. I can't dig into a cart path, so I got to just scoop it, and I have to just pick it clean.
Yeah.
And that's not right. You still have to go into the sand.
No, you're playing it right. I'm wondering now why it's not.
So I'm supposed to pick it clean off hard sand.
Of course. You can't splash hard sand. That's the thing.
In fact, okay.
If you, with the way that the club is designed with the bounce and things like that, and we'll talk about more when you open up the club, you expose more of the bounce, et cetera.
Well, it's two different club swings then. Speeds. Like if you're going to pick it, you can't take a splash swing.
Well, yeah, because it'll
so
go
that's
much
where maybe
further.
I go out the window.
That could be.
That's probably why.
That could be.
Probably just hitting it too hard.
We'll dig into it because that could be it. But the what you got is correct. Is that I think where the disaster kind of happens is when you try to play that same kind of explosion or splash, whatever shot you want to call it, where you throw the sand onto the green. If you try to do that with hard packed sand, you're in for a disaster.
The club's just going to stop.
Either you're going to dig too much and you're going to hit that sand that's much heavier than what you're used to, and it's going to stop the club.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you just miss in the bounce of your club, you may skim across it and you may just blade that thing.
Right.
And then it's gone. And then you better not be standing across from them because they're going to kill somebody on the other side of the green in that case. But let's we'll go through each. Let's talk about first what a basic technique is, something we've talked about before on the show, but let's kind of dive into it because just recently, talking about Manhattan Woods, we were playing with our buddy Pete, and I love that guy. I get such a kick out of every time we're with him. He's a riot. We laugh every time.
Yep.
But and I'm not saying this to pick on him. The guy's just too funny. He took 10 shots to get out of one bunker. That's one thing I think there's a part of a reason why Pete is such a successful person. Yeah. I mean, this guy is massively successful in life. He owns like something like 10 chiropractic, offices. Yeah. It's because he doesn't stop. He doesn't give up. He's splashing, trying to get out of one bunker for 10 shots.
Yeah.
At some point, I would have just quit on the
hole. Comedy never failed. Like he didn't go into a funk.
No.
He just picked it up.
The guy's terrific.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying by that is that I remember in that moment because I remember hollering out to him, like, Pete, you're trying to hit the ball too much. Just throw the sand up onto the green. Mm-hmm. And that's what we mean here. So if you've got that nice softer sand, something where your club can get into that sand, the adjustment here is where this is kind of one of the only shots in golf where you don't actually want to make contact with the ball itself with the club face. Mm-hmm. What you want to do is pick a spot a little bit behind the ball. And this is depending on how far you want the ball to travel, how high, those types of things, how far back you hit in the sand. You don't want to go too far back because that sand's heavy. It's going to stop the club. But effectively what you want is a situation where the club face is making contact with the sand and then it's throwing that sand up, and basically the best way to think about it is the ball is riding it like a wave.
Yep.
Like a surfer riding a wave. It's just riding it up onto the green. So I try to, as much as possible, simplify these things for myself in a thought process, and I just try to think of one thing in a bunker shot, and I just think throw the sand up onto. I don't even think about the ball.
It's a great tip to think about.
I literally try to erase the ball, and I just say throw the sand onto the green. And in this case, what you'll do is, you want to have a little bit of a wider open stance. I like to open my stance just a little bit with this because I find that an open stance works well with an open club face. I like to open that club face a little bit because that way, I get a little bit more loft out of it. And that loft, because again, since you're not making direct wedge on ball contact, you can't rely on spin, something we've talked about before. So I need to rely, especially stopping if it's a short-sided pin, you got to rely on getting the ball up in the air air, a little more loft. So opening that is going to give you a little bit more loft. And then just really just picking a spot that you're going to swing under that ball. Every other time in golf, swinging under the ball is tragic.
Yes.
But here, it's what you actually want to do. So just pick a spot behind the sand. If the problem is if you clip it clean, you're not going to get the type of loft that you want. You might, especially if you're faced with a high bunker lip. So you just want to kind of swing down to that sand and just splash that sand as much as you can with that open club face up onto the green, and you're going to be successful more times than not doing it this way.
Yeah, I mean, this is talk about a confidence shot for me. I got my money club, I got soft sand. I say to myself that same exact thing.
Yeah.
Throw the sand onto the green. After all, we're not the ones cleaning it up. So, hey, just do it. It'll get it there. And if you're lucky enough, you get it to stop close to the hole, and you'll eliminate a lot of those even two putts.
Right.
So
right, and plus this way you help guarantee you get it out. When you're facing that big bunker lip, you're getting it up and out. But here's where we got to adjust. So now we're talking about those hard conditions. Right now, let's say you walk into a bunker and it's the opposite. The ball is sitting up; it's not down at all. You see like the entire ball. It's almost like I love that, likening it to a cart path.
yeah.
It's almost like playing it off of a cart path. Now, obviously, it's not going to be as hard as a cart path, but it is possible to play a ball off of a cart path. Just ask Phil Mickelson or Justin Thomas.
Right.
You've seen them do it on tour.
Right.
I wouldn't do it because I'm not getting paid enough to ruin my clubs.
Right, exactly.
On a cart path. But it's a thought process.
Think of it as a cart path near the green, though. Those cart paths, they were taking full swings. Imagine your ball propped up on a cart path right next to the green. Because we're talking about a greenside bunker here for the most part.
Yeah, greenside bunker for the most part.
So it's the same way. You got to pick it the same way.
Exactly.
Right?
Because think about it. Let's use that extreme example and say you tried to play that explosion splash shot that we just lined up a second ago here.
Forget it.
Right? Open stance, open club,
face,
and then you tried to hit behind the ball. If you do, what's going to happen is your club is going to just bounce off of that hard, and it's going to catch that ball halfway through. Like it's just going to really just blade it with the leading edge, and it's going to go nowhere. So you really do, as you're saying, have to pick it clean. So a couple ways you can do that. First, square your stance up a little bit. Don't play that open or stance. I like to keep a nice square stance. I think of it as playing like a chip shot.
That's what I'm thinking, like on a tight fairway chip shot here.
Exactly. That's what I think. I in my mind, if I'm not thinking cart path, I'm thinking more tight lie chip shot. And then I'm squaring up my stance, and I'm not opening that face because I want it's very, very hard as well to pick clean with an open face.
Right.
You want that leading edge. It's very similar to, we did a whole episode on the fried egg, when the fried egg lie. And in that case, that's the one case where even with a splash explosion shot, you gotta close that face down and square it up, because you need that leading edge to dig in and kind of go through it. But
Makes
here,
sense, yeah.
you want that leading edge to pick it clean. If you open up that face, you have much less edge to work with in that way. You have to be like surgeon precise.
Yeah, you're gonna bleed
to
it.
pick it. There's a lot of ways it can go wrong. You can hit off the hosel. There's just too many ways it can go wrong. You got a lot more face to work with when you close that face down. So close the face down and then just focus on picking it instead of blasting it. Here's the key though, Mike. Smaller swing is required here.
Big time.
And I'm wondering if, as you were explaining, that's where it maybe goes off the rails.
Yeah.
For you. Because obviously with that explosion shot, you need a lot of club head speed, because as soon as it hits the sand, it's going to slow it down. Sand will stop a bullet. I mean, that's why they put up sand when a hurricane's coming. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It stops things. So you can't if you are picking it clean, there's effectively nothing to stop that club face.
And you're talking about maybe like a 10 to 20 yard, maybe even less.
Right.
Yeah, that's
so
hard
I
to
like
do.
to think of it as a 10 to 20 yard chip. In which case, if you're playing 10, you're not swinging out of your shoes.
Right.
But with something where it's going to stop it with that explosion shot, you are. So I think you're 90% of the way there with your technique. It's just adjusting it of just not swinging so hard.
What do you think the best way, like in indoor practice? You think like you could do this on the carpet?
Yeah, you know what?
Similar, like just to simulate like hard sand.
You could, and I like this, and we're going to be doing more with this on some of our social channels, some more like quick hitting practice techniques that we're using. Again, we're not pros, we're not instructors, but if it's working for us, we're going to show you guys. I've seen some people doing like pennies or flat balls.
Yes.
And just working on, like literally, they're it looks like a golf ball. They're just a flat disc, but you could do it with a quarter, whatever, and just work on very slow swings and just chipping a quarter. And because you have to pick it clean.
Right.
There's no margin for error. If you hit behind let's say a quarter in this case, if you hit behind it, the club's just going to quickly bounce over it. top it.
Mm-hmm.
If you hit too far forward, you're going to just clip the end of it. So you really have to pick it clean. So if you want to work on your precision of picking something clean, try chipping some quarters around your.
Yeah.
People think you're crazy. Like, what are you doing? But like, get in your living room with some quarters.
You just want to hit a
'em.
ball. But yeah, I get it. I get it.
You'll really
Break out of your
get
comfort
used
zone.
to hitting that low point in your swing, which is really what a clean pick is all about.
I think a steep swinger a steep swing golfer is better to pick it clean.
It's a great question. I mean,
That's tough, right?
There's times like with an explosion bunker shot where you do want to get steeper and dig it out, depending on how deep the lie is. I don't know if it matters so much as if you can just steep or not steep. If you find that low point, I think it's easier to find the low point if you don't have an overtly steep angle of attack coming into it. But yeah, I think it's a matter of just practicing it and getting that technique and hand-eye coordination and just familiarity with finding that low point. But that's basically it. I mean, everything we talked about is like kind of really diving into the easy way of saying it is if you've got the softer sand, that's where you want to use your more explosion shot, open the club face, that type of thing. And if you're dealing with that hard pan packed sand, just treat it like a chip shot, as you said, off a tight line and try to pick it clean.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest tips that I've gotten along the way, I don't remember, unfortunately, we've had the good fortune of working with a lot of great instructors. I don't remember who told me this, but you obviously you can't get in there and you can't take practice swings and test the sand, right? Or at least you always couldn't because grounding your club was a penalty.
Right.
But what you can do, similar to with the greens, where we've been talking more about getting the read by getting the feel in your feet, you can get the feel when you get into the sand and start to take your stance. So there's a couple things. How we kind of like dig our feet in?
Yep.
Right, and you move your feet back.
You'll tell instantly what kind of sand it is.
Exactly. That does two things for you. One, and we did this with Brad Worthington, I remember, he's like, always make sure you dig in because you don't have the same traction in the sand. You're going to slip on your turn. And even more so for fairway bunkers where you're making a bigger swing. But while you're doing that, not only are you gaining your footing for a more solid base, but while you're doing it, pay attention to what you're doing, and you're getting a feel for that sand.
Yeah.
How compacted it is, how deep it goes. Because that's the other thing, the depth of the bunker.
Right. Yep.
So if you may have, it's deceiving to the eye, you may have what looks like not necessarily hard packed sand, but it may be this, especially here, we talk about maintenance and course conditions. It's expensive to keep the sand in the bunkers. If you have some where maybe they just have like a very thin layer of sand, then underneath is that hard ground,
yeah,
you're going to have the same problem.
That's true.
You try to play that explosion shot, you go down about a centimeter, and then all of a sudden you hit hard ground. You could be in that bounce disaster.
Yep.
So one thing you can do is as you set your feet, feel yourself digging in and see how deep it goes.
I like that.
It gives you a feel for how deep you can go with your shot.
Right. If your shoes disappear, guys, you're taking a large swing.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you're in some fluffy
sand. Your ankles. Yeah.
Then
you got a problem. Stop before you
just leave.
Yeah, to the other side.
Right.
But anyway, so that's it. Just about, again, and you're going to see this is going to be a consistent thing that we're going to kind of keep coming back to on the show. Is a lot of what we talk about is just adjusting to the conditions. And again, I'll keep saying this. I'll say this till my dying day. I think that the difference between newer golfers and experienced golfers is that they know the ways to adjust their game to different course conditions.
Yeah.
And this is why you get your driving range heroes. They're like, why am I so good on the range? I get out to the course. It's because on the range, you've got a very consistent condition, very consistent lie, time and time again. When you're out on the course, that goes out the window. Side hill lies, different levels of rough, sand, whatever it may be. Now it's adjusting to that, and the best golfers know how to make those adjustments.
Well, they definitely do. Best golfers know how to shape shots and make those adjustments.
Exactly.
Right.
All right, so that's everything we have for you guys this week. You can get to this episode notes by going to golficity.com/episode 401. And like I said, take a moment, help us out by going and subscribing to our brand new YouTube channel because we're going to be doing a lot more with it for the podcast. We wanted, like I said, on YouTube, a home where the podcast can live as its own kind of ecosystem and we can do some stuff with it. So we'll put that link in the show notes, but you can also search YouTube, search for the Golf Podcast. Hopefully you find us. It's a brand new channel, but you'll see it more and more. And we're hoping our little experiment works out and we're able to do even more with it.
Can't wait, man.
Yeah. So, all right, that's everything we have. We'll see everybody again next week.